Incorporated in 1735 from parts of four surrounding towns, between 8 and 9,000 people call Upton home. Driven by the growth of the Knowlton Hat Factory in the late 1800s, businesses opened in West Upton, giving Upton what amounts to two town centers. West Upton now has a Dunkin's, a small strip mall with a convenience store, two gas stations, the post office, a restaurant, a pizza place, and a liquor store. Upton Center has Town Hall, a Unitarian church, the library, a restaurant, a pizza place, and a liquor store. But it also has a building that was once the Holy Angels Church. Built in 1848, it had a number of owners before being taken over by the town after a failed attempt to turn it into condominiums in 2014. But now, a nonprofit in Upton is hoping to make it the centerpiece of bringing more arts and culture to the town.
My name is Erica McGowan, and we moved to Upton during the pandemic, which was October 2020. What I do for the 140 Arts Collaborative is I am now officially their vice president. I started working marketing and moved my way up. Upton needs a forefront of art and culture because we are a bedroom community and we don't really have a third space. I like to use the term third space as community centers, churches. People retire often after going to work. They come home and go to bed. They come home and watch TV. And it would be really nice if we had that space where people could just go and meet each other and hang out and have that place in town dedicated to the arts. The Holy Angels Church is important in Upton for a few reasons. It was built in 1848. It is quite the mainstay, and over time, there have been several studies done with the residents of Upton who have voted time and time again that they love this building. They love the architecture. They love the meaning behind it. They love the community it used to represent. And people would be sad to let it go. So 140 Arts, we came in, we were actually designed by people who wanted to save the church to give it a purpose. So they designed us, and that's how we grew. We started off as our main focus point of let's save the church. What can we do with it? Let's put an arts center in there. Currently, and it's very important to note that we have no formal relationship with the town. This is very prospective. So we are working towards that. We don't currently have any ownership of this building. We just want to work towards saving it.
Well, my name is Matthew Fear, and I am the drama director here at Nipmuc Regional High School, and I'm also the president of the 140 Arts Collaborative. You know, it kind of came about as kind of a brainchild of myself and some other members of the community when we saw that the Holy Angels Church was vacant and could use something neat there, something interesting there. And we thought we could maybe bring more arts programming to the Blackstone Valley. I worked at Improv Boston, which was a very well-known improv theater located in Cambridge. And I worked with them as part of their touring company. I taught classes there. And now being the drama director at Nipmuc, you know, theater has just kind of been something that I have done pretty much my entire life. The arts are important. The arts give a certain quality of life, give a certain something to you that lets you expand your mind a little bit. It lets you escape from the realities of the world sometimes, but it can also put a mirror to it. So, I feel like without the arts, creativity goes away, and then it's all just we're all doing the same thing. We're doing it the same way. From start to finish, and it's there's nothing interesting in that, and I feel like the arts gives that to you and gives you something that you can aspire to be, or something that you can look and be inspired by.
Okay, it's a neat idea. But in a town without a supermarket, do people really think it's a good idea to invest in the arts? Let's find out.
All I can say is that if they do feel that they want to improve the community, they can't just think of civil service, they have to think of theater. They have to think of entertainment. They have to think of why people are here and show not just pride, but just a general camaraderie of people, getting the people out, like Heritage Day. But it's a day, so like let's do more of that stuff. Let's get more people out here. Let's get community doing what community does, and let's get everyone together. And even if it's a play, even if it's a bunch of stalls with knickknacks, even if it's just people offering an opportunity to just, I don't know, have a great time. That's what I think it really should be about.
Yes, I think towns, and for that matter, federal governments, should devote tax money to the arts. The arts are more than what's on the surface. Whether watching or participating in them, you can learn a lot. Even things that you can apply to that 9-to-5 job your parents want you to get.
Wait a minute. Don't people just meet each other at their kids' school events or town meetings?
My name is Mike Wexler, and I am a motion designer, and I live here in Upton, Massachusetts. We moved to Upton 5 years ago. We moved from Brooklyn, New York, and we made this big change because we wanted some space for the kids to play and room to be outside, and it was a community outside of Boston that we could afford to live in. If you don't have kids in Upton, it is a lot harder to meet other adults. There are places in town that serve as third spaces. The brewery is one of them. The library and community center is another. But there's just not that many. And what Upton really needs more of are places where people organically gather and meet each other and get to know each other and get to know their neighbors.
Didn't he say something about a brewery?
I am Brian Goodman. I am one of the co-owners and managers of Rushford & Sons Brewhouse in Upton, Massachusetts. So back in 2019, I met with somebody who said, when I told him we were looking to open a brewery, he asked if we had considered Upton. And I said, never once in my life, but he suggested we talk to the town manager at the time, and we did, and yada, yada, yada. We opened in 2020, and the rest is history. So we fit into the community by having that unencumbered community gathering space. I always say we never have TVs here, because not that I don't love watching the game at a bar, but the entertainment here is the friends you know and the friends you make along the way. So we fit into the community by giving people an unassuming, welcoming place to come, meet old friends, make new friends. I know we just had, over the summer, we had our first wedding here for people who went on their first date here a few years ago, which, and stuff like that. We want to have a space where everybody can come here and meet without the outside encumbrances. And then, of course, we also make awesome beer, which doesn't hurt. So a big part of our original mission statement was to be inclusive to everybody. And back in June of 22, we had our first drag storytime event, and we met with some very vocal opposition, albeit a very small opposition. And since then, we've kind of, a lot of that has become being focused on the LGBTQ plus community and making sure that we are welcoming to them. But the biggest thing for us and the biggest focus for us is being welcome to the entire community. The only prerequisite is that you need to be welcoming to everybody else in return, whether the same or different from you. We are welcoming people. We expect our customers to be welcome. I actually don't think 140 Arts is going to have any abnormal problems getting a project like they're talking about for the church there done in Upton. So while Upton is a small town with a small town government, I can tell you way back when I want to say the summer of 2020, when we were getting licensure and we first went before the planning board in Upton. And don't get me wrong, we butted heads and we went back and forth. But the first thing they said to us was, we know we need to change. we want to be a better version of ourselves, and we can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. So we know we need to change. And that's awesome. You cannot ask more of a small town government. And in general, working with the town of Upton for 5 years now, just over 5 years now, has been awesome. And I couldn't ask for a better town government to work with.
The current estimate for converting Holy Angels to a cultural center is $3.4 million. Upton's town budget in 2025 was a little over $28.5 million, with 56% going to schools, 30% to town services, and 14% to fixed costs. The question is there hope? Better than that, there's a blueprint. 73 miles north at the Rex Theater in Manchester, New Hampshire.
The Rex Theater used to be a movie theater in the 40s and 50s. There was a lot of it was a two-screen movie theater, and then sometime after 1965, it ended up turning into a printing press, and then after that, a nightclub. A lot of people in Manchester right now remember it as a nightclub called Liquid. Pretty rough nightclub, as one patron would say. If you remembered being there, you weren't doing it right. So that was about the 90s, and so by the middle of the 90s, the building just fell sort of into nowhere land. It was somewhere abandoned. There was a lot of people talking in the city about tearing it down and building a parking garage. Thankfully, the then mayor, Joyce Craig, and a few other elected officials in the city of Manchester decided that it required a little bit more of a conversation, and one of the conversations was, what about bringing it back as a movie theater or as a theater under the stewardess of the Palace Theater, the larger 800-seat vaudeville theater across the street. The conversation took off. A committee was created. A public-private partnership was created and founded. The city of Manchester, one leg of the three-legged stool, the other being the Palace Theatre, and the third being the Manchester CDC, which would acquire the funds and work with the building. And we ended up working with a local construction company called Cornerstone. They built the project. As far as the public documentation is, it's $5 million to build it. It was on time, on budget.
What could make 140 Arts Collaborative fail is if there's no longer interest. Once the floor of interest falls out and people just would rather return to their homes, well, then that's when 140 Arts would be doomed. 140 Arts Collaborative can be successful without Holy Angels. It is a goal. It is a nice goal, but as an art group, we're already established with our current fan base, for lack of a better term. We're currently established with our volunteers. We don't need Holy Angels, although it would be nice.
If I was to give someone some advice to do what we did here with the Rex Theater in downtown Manchester, I would say the number one thing would be work with the city. They're your biggest allies. The biggest relationship I have outside of the relationship with my stage manager is the relationship with the economic development director of the city of Manchester. They're going to be your biggest advocates. The second thing I would say would be make sure that you have stakeholders in the community, cheerleaders, build a sense of community. They can be elected officials, they can be previously elected officials, they can be art directors, they can be people involved in the arts in your community. Get a coalition of people together, get a group and start a community. And then last I would say would be remember the art, remember to service the community that you're servicing. Work backwards from the community that you're going to be entertaining, and make sure that you're providing them with programming and entertainment options that they're going to like.
The 140 Arts Collaborative received its legal nonprofit status in 2025. The group is holding regular meetings and events even while having no permanent home. Conversations continue with the town of Upton on the idea of converting Holy Angels to a performance and art space. The good news? The Upton town budget is up 2.2% for 2026, so there is hope. I'm sure they'd appreciate it if you all kept your fingers crossed.